So this guy, the security guy, like security camera guy, I think he's the third agent. And let me show you why.
Why is Luthen hated so much? Did he do something specifically?
When K2SO slaps this trooper, I wonder how hard is it?
How did they evade the Empire for so long?
Today we're watching Andor, Season 2, Episode 11. Tell me what happened.
First thing we see Dedra being questioned by Orson Krennic in the interrogation chamber.
Then the hospital security guy shows a tendon hurt where Clea was.
Mm-hmm. And then Clea, with her device, sends a message into space calling for help.
Then attendant here leads an assault squad to find Clea.
Oh, yeah. And Cassian finds Clea first before the assault squad, just in the nick of time.
But at the very end, Cassian has a hard time getting Clea to leave, and the assault squad is bearing down.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird episode cut. It's like in the middle of the episode.
Oh, it's a good cliffhanger. It's a good cliffhanger and setting up the final episode. What did you think about the episode?
I give today's episode an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I like the ambiance. I like the events leading up to Rogue One. Feels great. I like seeing the ISB work, not just in that office environment. I like seeing the assault squad do their work. And the relationship between the soldiers and like the ISB and how does their rank work. The soldiers are like, salt of the earth people. It's pretty cool. Seeing Mira get in trouble while still being loyal to the Empire is kind of tragic, kind of interesting. I got mixed feelings about it. Do I feel bad? I feel bad for her, but she's Empire. But okay, kind of interesting. Little twist there. And the tension was awesome for the beginning of the Clea rescue. Like as Cassian's coming in against orders with the radio and the assault squad's coming in. It feels like, oh, geez, this is what's going to happen. How's this going to, is she actually going to get rescued? I don't actually know. So for me, 8 out of 10. What do you think?
I also gave this episode an 8 out of 10. The pros were, this was a great depiction of finding a mole inside an intelligence agency. I imagine it would be terrifying. Because here you are all clearanced behind whatever your government clearance agency is. And they've said everyone here is approved to work. But then you find out like someone, at least one of us here is a traitor. Like, who have I been talking to? What is happening? Are they going to finger me? Like, I imagine it would be terrifying to be in this situation. Another pro is that there's this storyline. There's a storyline where they think there's 3 people, but then it turns out to be just Clea. I think that might actually still be a hidden plot that there's still 3 rebels inside the hospital. We'll talk about it. We'll see if we can figure it out. Cons of this episode. It's weird that the troopers at the very end, the assault squad, they don't wear helmets. Like, why? You have helmets. Why not wear them? It was weird. It was weird to the point where I kept looking at their faces. Like, do I need to know these guys' faces? Why don't they have helmets on? And also at the very end, it was weird that Clea didn't want off planet. Like they stay in the hideout in the safe house, and they're like talking about the Cassian. You gotta get the story off of the planet. Like, Clea, just get off the planet. What are we doing? Like Cassian should grab Clea, get in the plane, get out of here. It was weird. I didn't understand why they delayed that out. So overall good episode. A little bit lighthearted and kind of, towards the end of the episode, a little bit lighthearted in preparation for episode 12. Super fun. I liked it. 8 out of 10. Star Wars.
Yep. All right, let's get into it. This is the beginning episode. ISB is in the hospital, and I thought, why is ISB treating a rich hospital owner this way?
Who's that?
He runs the hospital. Reclaw, medical director.
Are you the one that's closed my hospital? This is my building. I'll decide if we are in a position to admit patients or not.
The moment all I've done is shut the doors. Arrest him.
What?
This is an ISB crime scene. If you're slowing me down, you're a suspect.
You've made your point.
Make sure the doors stay locked. Who's
Wait, so what's your problem with this?
My first thought was, isn't this the power base of the Empire?
Wait, what do you explain that? What do you mean?
So this guy, he owns this hospital. So he's like wealthy, but he's not like ultra wealthy.
That's true.
So there's probably lots of people, hospital owners, factory owners, restaurant owners, who have this like mid-level rich. I don't know what to call it.
It's not like multi-generational rich. It's not old money rich, but it's it's rich, doing great.
Right. Okay. And so they sort of own a lot of the infrastructure of and employ people around the Empire. What don't you want this guy to be loyal to the Empire? This is your power base. So if you treat him like a criminal, he's going to get pushed away.
There it is.
So it's like-
yeah, so he's there operating a hospital, trying to do good for the community, and then these ISB officers come in, like, you're a criminal, you're a suspect, you might go to jail forever. And he's like, ooh, I'm clean, and I'll do whatever you say, but I don't like getting pushed around like this. Maybe if I hear a rebel transmission over the radio, I'm going to be more likely to listen to them now after this interaction.
Right. So that was my feeling. So why did ISB? He's like, you're a suspect. It's like, whoa. Am I loyal? I'm not loyal anymore.
Yeah, the government starts coming around calling me a terrorist. Like, I don't like
I wasn't
that.
one.
And if this is the kind of power you're going to be throwing around, then if the opportunity comes, maybe I should be one, because I don't like how you're governing.
Right. And in fact, it could be worse than that. It's like when I become one, so I have to become one, because if not, eventually I'm going to get arrested. So I got to defend myself.
Right. My only option out of this is to become a rebel.
Right.
I saw it differently. I thought this logic was tight, because there was an explosion that just went off. There's some type of rebel agent floating around, and so the hospital owner could be a rebel agent slowing down the investigation. And so at this point, the ISB officer, Hertz, he doesn't know yet. He doesn't know who is actually helping him and who is actually trying to hinder him.
Okay. So you're saying like there ISBs in the hospital, there's been this shooting and a high-level suspect has been killed. And so this is a serious incident. And so everybody's a suspect, including the hospital owner, because how did you let this happen in your hospital?
How did you let this happen? And I mean, think of it strategically from the rebels' perspective. They want Clea to get out.
Yep.
And so if you can send someone to do a little interference, in a plausibly deniable way, like, I'm the hospital owner, why are you shutting down? Like, this is my business. I want to help people. I want to keep the doors open. But the ISB officer is like, shut it down. So, hey, why? What are you doing here? So that's a very legitimate reason for this guy to get involved and get in the ISB officer's face. But that's also what you would do if you were a rebel.
So you're saying if he was not a rebel, he was Empire, he would be immediately cooperative with ISB.
So.
Like, I want these terrorists, these shooters out of my hospital.
Yeah.
Let's get ISB in here and get this thing sorted. Instead, he's like dragging his feet and pretending like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? This is crazy.
Right.
Like, wait, wouldn't you invite ISB in to take care of this? So
if I was a hospital owner, manager, staff, anywhere along the hospital chain, my hospital just got terror bombed. Some blasters are going off. I'm saying police, FBI, CIA, get in here, fix this. Like, what's going on? Like, please tell me where to go stand so that I don't get shot. I don't know if everyone's gone yet. There could still be bad actors in here. Please, you police people handle this, shut down, figure out what is going on. Let me know what you need me to do. Let me know you need me to move my car. Let me know what you need me to do. Instead, this guy's coming in here trying to slow down their investigation. Weird, right?
That's right. And it's not just Luthen was killed. There's 2 officers shot.
Yep.
And a bunch of bombs on vehicles.
Yep.
This is a serious incident. So the fact that this guy is not 100% on board with ISB is super suspicious. I see it.
So in this episode, there's like a, I don't know, B storyline where Hurt, where he thinks there's 3 people. There's 3 rebel agents, and it's supposed to be the lore of Clea so badass that she does the damage worth of 3 rebels because it's so clean, so organized, like no collateral damage, no signs that's used, except for the cameras. But so this guy thinks that there's 3 people, and then later on he only sees Clea in the videos, so he's like, no, it's just one person. But my speculation is that this hospital owner is in fact a rebel agent. He's one of the 3.
I think you had me convinced about that because we talked about this earlier. There has to have been more because of the extent of the damage, especially to the vehicles. There's no
we'll
way
get
it's not an inside
next
job.
In the next video. We'll do that one. But here for this guy, it's at least plausible. Plausible that the rebels have this system set up where it's like if our gunman needs to get out of here, that other people in the nearby vicinity with legitimate reasons, like absolutely legitimate reasons to interfere, go interfere, slow it down. Get our guy with the gun, get our gunman some time to get out. If you can get us 5 minutes, 5 minutes may be it. 5 minutes may be the difference. So just slow them down. Don't get yourself in trouble. Have a legitimate reason to be there, but run interference.
Yeah, so he's feigning outrage, but actually he's just causing distractions, even if it's for 5 minutes. I see it.
Because it's weird. Like my hospital just got bombed. Like, please sort it out for me. So this guy, the security guy, like security camera guy, I think he's the third agent. And let me show you why.
And yeah, I was heading up to take a look because there was actually a thermal line last year that blew out next door.
I want to see coverage of the outside entrance area.
That's gone, blown out. Have you got a second choice?
A concentrated care unit. Roll back 1 hour.
That we can do.
Okay, so there's 3 pieces of evidence here. One is that he has this legitimate story already ready to rock. Like last year there was a thermal something popped off, this kind of it happens. So he like already has a plausible scenario, but it would be from the ISB officer's perspective a red herring. Like you're telling me erroneous information that's not related to this, but it makes me wonder what's happening here. Like what are you doing here? The second thing is that the cameras over the loading dock, the parking place, wherever the ships got destroyed, the cameras on the left there, right? Those are destroyed. Sure, fine. Yeah, so it can't give you any live feeds, but the recordings are also dead.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense, right? Unless the hard drives for the recordings are there at the cameras, which I guess is possible, but also kind of super weird. Live feed out, recorded at wherever his station is, and then or maybe they just don't have recording capabilities at all. It's only live feed. But then the third evidence here is that when Hertz asked for the cameras from the intensive care unit or the intensive care unit, he's like, "Yep, got him. Pull him up." Which is suspect. So you have recordings from one thing but not the other. Now, why is that important? Because yes, Clea's face is detected because she wasn't able to avoid all the cameras, and in fact the ISB officer says it's like she knows where all the cameras are. Well, maybe she does know where all the cameras are because the security guy told her where all the cameras were. She's not able to deflect her face completely. She does this like look down, so you see her face at a weird angle. But maybe when she's by the shuttles, by the cars, it's just harder to do that. So it's harder to like cover the angles. So you just don't let that be recorded, and this guy covers for you.
Yeah.
Maybe he's an agent.
I can see it. The thing that convinced me was the vehicles being bombed.
Okay.
Because there's no way Clea, as a single operative in a Imperial hospital, would think that she could get away with bombing like 4, 5, 6 vehicles. I can't remember the number.
Right.
Without at least some assurance that there's inside help. And the person who
Someone
would probably
covering the
be
cameras.
best. What's that?
Someone covering the cameras, making sure she's not seen.
So especially this guy, because
This guy's the guy.
this guy has to be, because he can cover for her, because if he sees her planting the bombs, then he doesn't report it up the chain and gets rid of the evidence, which is these left cameras here. So this guy's super suspicious, which means when ISB suspects that 3 people or more are part of this incident, maybe that's true.
I think so.
And so
we as an audience are misdirected. We think
Yeah.
that it's only Clea, but like, no. Here's the other 2 guys, the hospital owner and then the security camera guy. And plus Clea, that's the 3.
Yeah, because it felt like as I was watching it, it was like Clea flying by the seat of her pants, trying to get to Luthen just to kill him. But then when she set off the bombs, that was like, oh man, this is a bigger operation than just flying by the seat of her pants. She had to like get the explosives up together. She had to make sure that she wasn't caught while doing it. She had a diversion. That's a bigger operation. So I'm convinced, actually.
Even like 30 seconds per bomb per car, plus a little bit of travel time between cars. That's a lot of time to be exposed as a nurse wearing yellow hanging out in the loading bay, the car depot. Yeah, suspicious. But then this guy covers it up. No camera, no records.
Right. I see it.
I think so. This is Dedra. She's getting interrogated by the Krennic. Yeah, by Krennic. And just, man, imagine how terrifying it would be to be an intelligence officer and you have spies floating around you.
All I have been told is that Supervisor Young is dead.
Is that why I'm here?
I am not a rebel spy.
Oh, at the moment, that is the only plausible scenario. Your motivations are far less pressing than the extent of your betrayal.
I should have reported it.
And I should have pegged you as a scavenger. We'll do our best to carry on without you.
Now look at all these guys in the background. Okay, so there's a couple things that went on here. One is that Dedra is genuinely, truly loyal to the Empire. But there was intelligence leaks through her security card, her certification that went through Lonnie Young. Lonnie Young's dead. He was the spy. And so Dedra is actually innocent. She did not do a crime against the Empire. But how is she going to possibly explain that? Right? No one's going to believe her.
Well, I mean, they could look at the evidence.
The evidence is somebody has her card and was snooping around Death Star stuff where they weren't supposed to be. And so if she was a rebel spy, isn't this what she would say? She'd say, I'm not a rebel spy. And let me prove it to you. I'm going to give you some information that will advance your goals and actually hurt the rebels. But as long as you do a little bit, then that would be a worthwhile loss for the rebels. I don't know how she gets out of this situation.
Yeah. Plus, it could be, okay, people accessing classified stuff against regulations. That's also an IT problem. Maybe ISB IT is running a great CYA operation.
Yep.
And pinning it on her, and other people aren't looking into the evidence that IT and the security, they screwed up. They should not have been allowing.
Lonnie had her ID card, her certification for 2 years.
Right.
There wasn't a password rotation in that time.
Right. So sure, she may have failed and not noticed the logins, but the people, IT, security, they should have noticed. But if they don't want to get fired, sent to prison, they're going to be running a cover your ass operation on her.
They pin it on her.
And then everything she says, where she's like, I didn't do it. I'm not a rebel. It's like, oh, guilty.
Guilty. And then Krennic's like, you're a scavenger. But that's also the personality that they want for an ISB officer. Right? Imagine an ISB officer, Central Intelligence officer, not Central Intelligence. ISB is analogous to the FBI for the US.
Right.
It's an internal investigation, right? So imagine if you had an FBI officer, they were given the orders to investigate some murders or something, right? And the FBI officer was like, well, I just look at only the information easily accessible in front of me. I'm not going to dig any deeper. You'd say, what are you doing in this department? Your goal here is to figure out the truth of whatever's going on here, expose crimes, stop crimes from happening. This is the personality we want. This is the personality that Partagaz encourages from Dedra Meero. And so to call her a scavenger, it's your entire department is scavengers. That's what you want them to be.
It's could be even worse than that, because it could be even like the Empire has onerous regulations and rules in place such that if they were followed to a T, like nobody would get anything done. Like they have to break the rules to get things done. So they're like, get results. But in order to get results, you got to break the rules. Then if you screw up, people do an assessment.
Come down on you.
You were breaking rules left and right. This is unacceptable, and they can throw you away. So it's like, basically you have to be successful every single time. Otherwise, you're in breach of rules, which an investigation will find, and you'll get put away if you haven't done your political homework, which Dedra hasn't done. It could be worse than just like not being lazy. It could be like a way for ISB higher ups to control agents. You know, if I want them gone, I can find rule breaches and get them out of there.
But at the same time, I need to push them to do rule breaches because that's what I want out of them. Like I want them to get stuff done.
I need to get them to get stuff done. So as long as they're successful and loyal to me, we're good. But if I ever need to turn that crank and get rid of them, I have plenty of rule breaches to call upon.
Can we get the last few seconds of this clip?
Yep.
Look at these guys. So they're these junior officers, and they see Dedra, fairly senior in the ISB person, and then they see Krennic, who's even higher, and he's like, this is the criminal, this is the traitor, this is a spy in our midst. It must be terrifying. Imagine that. It's absolutely terrifying for these guys because who else? If this person who I've been working with for years is actually on the rebel side, the rebel scum this whole time, who else in our intelligence agency could be a spy? And I think this also maps onto the real world. Like, imagine if the FBI or CIA in this case, if either of them, they found a mole, and then you'd wonder, like, what have I said to this person? What do they have on me? What have they told whoever their handlers are in a different country? Terrifying.
Yeah, it'd be scary, especially if you're a junior person. You're like, what is going on in this organization?
Yep.
It's terrifying. How strong
who
are
can I
the
trust?
rebels to have such a high person? Jeez.
Mm-hmm. And Lonnie, they don't know that Lonnie was a traitor. All they know is that Lonnie died. So it's like, are they assassinating us now?
That's right. Who did this? Did Dedra do that? What is going on? It'd be terrifying.
Yep.
This is back on Yavin. And why is Luthen hated so much? Did he do something specifically?
Where?
Coruscant.
Luthen rail whistles and you two come running.
This was an emergency call. A final call.
After all this, everything we've put in place, knowing how vulnerable we are.
The truth is, none of this would be here without Luthen. None of this.
Confine this man to quarters until further notice.
Like, why aren't the rebels? They actively hate Luthen. And he was part of the initial Empire rebellion. Like, he started it.
Oh, I know about Yavin. I know all about it. I know what they think of Luthen. That's to be my sanctuary.
We'll be safe there. No one can do this alone. He knew that. He just couldn't swallow his pride.
Thank the galaxy, he didn't. He stayed for what I've just told you. He stayed to figure this out. And you need to tell these people in Yavin what they're up against.
So my thought to your question, why do they hate him so much? So there's political reasons amongst like the higher ups in the rebel leadership. And Luthen, he's his own person. He wants the things done his own way. And so there's battle there. There's battle there about how this guy and Organa and Mon Mothma want things run. I guess there was also a couple other people there. But compared to those people, Luthen is a loose cannon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so power plays are one thing. Like wanting to run the rebellion your way is one thing, but it seems to go beyond that. They're acting like he betrayed them or did something really bad, and there seems to be no respect for the contributions that he gave to the rebellion. It seems
that's right.
It's not. It doesn't feel like just a political struggle, in some sense.
Do you have a guess?
My thought was that this is Luthen's plan all along. He wants the rebels to hate him.
Okay,
because
why?
During the initial stages of the rebellion, Luthen knew he had to do terrible things. He had to do bombings, sabotages, killings, kill our own spies, horrible things, like things that could not be justified by any moral code that the rebellion would want to uphold.
We're not looking just to protest. You can put up signs and protest, and we should be treated differently. But Luthen's like, no. We need some real physical, unpleasant actions, and I will do them. That's true, yeah.
And then once the rebellion starts to get going, he wants that rebellion to uphold its values of like goodness and freedom and all those things. Justice, well, they need to dump all of those terrible things that they've done in the past onto the past. And who's the past in this case? They're going to dump them all onto Luthen.
Okay.
So Luthen takes the blame for all of the atrocities that happened, and then the rebellion can move forward with purity, ready for Luke Skywalker.
Right. So everyone here in Yavin believes that they're the good side and that they've not done these awful things.
Right.
Which Luthen's like, you know what? I'll do them. I'll do the awful things. In fact, I'll do them secretly, so in the dark that you don't even realize that I'm protecting you from these bad things. Right. When I die, you can hate me. That's fine. Our goal of rebellion will be accomplished.
Right. And it's not just it was fine. He wants them to hate. He wants the rebellion to hate him. So that means the rebellion is pure.
I see what you're saying. He wants them. They want them. Luthen wants the rebellion to hate him. So that way, after he dies, they can say, we got rid of this guy. He was doing the rebellion in the wrong way. We didn't want that. We never wanted that. He was doing things on his own, doing bad stuff. We're the good people. We're the rebels with our just cause and the clean hands.
Right. And so somebody who's about to join the rebellion is like, I heard you guys did this terrorist act. And they could be like, that's Luthen.
Nope.
That's not really
wasn't a part of
the
us.
rebellion.
We don't like him. We don't approve of any of it.
Right. So this is the good rebellion. Join us. You can uphold your values. So Luthen is playing like it's a selfless
7D chess.
7D chess. It's just if that's truly what he was doing, that was my interpretation. Oh man,
I like it. That's a good take.
This is an ISB officer who goes into Luthen's, shop and finds his transmission tech. How did they evade the Empire for so long?
They had the antenna. They spliced it into a metro tower next door. They've been using Imperial broadcast power for who knows how long.
So they spliced into a what?
They've been using Imperial broadcast power for who knows how long. Metro tower next door.
A metro tower.
So I don't know what a metro tower. I don't know, city tower, metro. And I heard it as they've been using Imperial broadcast power for however long.
Right.
So I guess it's like a cell phone tower type thing. And then the rebels here, it was Clea and Luthen, connected their signal into it. And so they've been using the Empire's infrastructure to have their signals go out in some sub carrier wave something.
Yeah. So somehow Luthen, instead of like doing rebel broadcasts and hoping that the Empire doesn't find the rebel broadcasts, he actually co-ops the Imperial tech and uses that and piggybacks on it to send his messages. And then the Empire isn't looking for it there because it's secure as far as they can tell.
It's our towers. Yeah, it's like it's in enemy. It's rebels building their own cell towers. You'd be like, what is this? Why are you building cell towers here? But if you can instead use our own cell towers to piggyback your message, then it's super stealthy.
Right.
It's clever.
So that's really, really clever. So somehow they must have had some way to get initial insertion of messages into the Imperial tech, but then once they were in, they were able to sustain that for years. So Luthen,
I mean, gosh, it also tells you how much of a empire, how much freedom there is in the Empire, that they're not checking their own stuff. Like there's some looseness to this.
Yeah, it could be arrogance, I guess. The Empire's like, our stuff's so secure, no need to check it. We're going to look for rebellion, ragtag transmissions. That'll be where they communicate. They're not thinking for this sophisticated style transmission, maybe.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, if the Empire was truly this like totalitarian dictatorship with oversight all the time, then that would get caught. They would be scanning their own people.
That's right. They should be scanning their own people, not assuming loyalty. If they're truly totalitarian, maybe haven't made that last step yet.
There's still the good side. Maybe. I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah, hard to say. And then this. So Cassian does the off-the-books rebel against the rebellion run to Coruscant to rescue Clea.
Yeah.
He gets into orbit of Coruscant, and then he transmits. Why? Because so he's in orbit of Coruscant. Clea's down here somewhere.
So Clea calls for him, and he's like, beep, 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 we have to go. So then they get on the ship, and then you're saying when he gets back to Coruscant, he sends his own signal out looking for her.
Right.
Okay, and you're saying why send that signal? Isn't it exposing yourself?
Right. So Clea sent an emergency message. Probably a good assumption that the frequencies have been compromised. If you just show up to the safe house where you know where that is and see if she's there. If she's there, like you rescue her.
Then you're good to go. Grab her, go.
Yeah. If she's not there, then you can do assessment, maybe transmit then. But it seems like a kind of a dumb move to transmit at that point, because the Empire, if the Empire is listening in, which they actually are, this woman's listening in, then you've just exposed it.
Yep.
And
you know exactly the ship that just arrived is the one that's talking.
Yeah. So what information did Cassian or Clea gain from that transmission? That she's already in the place they know she's already at? Like what? Like this didn't help.
I mean, yeah. As far as we've seen, this is their one safe house that they access all the time. So Cassian should just go check there. And if there's no one there, then you expand your search. Then you expose yourself to more stuff. But otherwise, just go to the safe house.
I guess there is technically a trade-off. If like you could verify that she's where she says she is, then you can move really, really fast and get out. If you have that verification,
that's true.
It still seems like move with the same intensity and speed towards the safe house without the transmission, and then reassess. But I guess if she's not actually there and she can actually tell you that, then you could move with speed and determination towards the new place. If you didn't transmit, you wouldn't have known she moved.
It can be more of a grab and go if you know where she is. If she's like on the run and she has to be in a grab and go situation, then she can broadcast or you broadcast. I guess, okay, here it is. She broadcasts grab and go situation. And then when you arrive, you're like, understood, grab and go. So then you broadcast out. She now can do her quick ping. This is where I am. You go grab and go.
Yeah. I think if I were Cassian, I would have made the call not to transmit and gone right to the safe house.
I mean, gosh, when they do get to the safe house, she's surprised that it's Andor. She's surprised that it's Cassian. So it's not even like a unique identifier to him.
That's right. Weird.
Weird.
It ends up working out, but man,
it worked out.
That was
Okay, last bit we have here is when K2SO slaps this trooper. I wonder how hard is it? First, let's look at it.
Are you with us?
No.
Pretty hard, right?
Pretty hard, yeah.
So let's walk through the calculation. Let's figure out. So here's the first slide here. Can we zoom on top right? Yeah. 0.00 seconds. I think this is just when K2. I think this is just when his arm touches. Can we zoom in there?
Yeah, so you're saying this is when the arm touches. Yeah, okay.
In contact, right? Okay. And then I moved one single frame forward, which is 0.04 seconds. And I think this is still in contact. Can we zoom in? Maybe hard to tell. Still in contact, maybe. Kind of hard to tell. I went one more frame. So that's 0.08 seconds. And here we can see his arm extending off. So there I'm happy that they're no longer in contact.
Yeah.
Which means all the acceleration, all the actual force application happened in that 0.04 seconds.
So from the K2SO is in contact with the trooper between this time and that time.
Yeah, but once there's no connection, no physical connection to him, you can't be pushing him, you can't be accelerating him. So that means all the acceleration is already done. Right. If we can figure out what the acceleration is, we can multiply it by his mass and figure out what the force was.
Okay.
So in order to figure this out, I need to know how fast. How did he move? Where was the displacement of his body?
Okay.
So if we can zoom in real tight there. I drew this arrow, and this arrow will make more sense with the next slide. But the key point here is that the base of the arrow, the start of the arrow, is in the center of this guy's body, center of mass.
Okay. Roughly the center of mass is like right here, belly button.
Yeah. Belly button. And mostly what I'm concerned about is the left-right center of mass. Okay. Then we go to the next slide, the single frame over 0.04 seconds. And now the tip of the arrow is pointing at his center of mass.
Okay.
And so like his body's a little curvy, but I think that's right. Zoom out a little bit. Is that in the middle?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the same arrow. So that means that the base of the arrow, which was just center of mass before, now points to the tip of the arrow, which is center of mass now. So we can figure out the distance traveled in that 0.04 seconds. It's that
so you're
much.
saying in this picture, his is the center of mass right as he's getting hit initially.
Yep.
And then this is his center of mass as K2SO leaves contact.
Right.
So this is the displacement
distance
during contact.
You got it. That's the distance over which he was accelerated. Okay, but now how long is that arrow? The length of that arrow, let's look at the picture on the right. No.
Picture.
Yep. So here's he's standing still. He's, regular human-sized trooper. And so I measured myself. I said from the middle of my body to the side of my body, I got 17.5 centimeters. But if we look in the arrow a little bit tighter, it's a little bit past his body.
Yep.
Right. So I said, I don't know, 20 centimeters.
Okay.
Kind of, so it's a little bit wider than a normal human. Okay. 20 centimeters. Okay. So let's look at the free body diagram and then we'll do equations.
Okay.
Free body diagram. This is when he's the trooper standing still. You get the gravity pulling down. You get so that's FG pointing down. You get the normal force from the ground supporting him. That way he's not accelerating up and down. And then you get this huge F backhand, this slap.
Yep.
And it's largely to the left. It's a little bit up because we do see him get picked up off the ground.
Right.
Okay. Free body diagram complete. Let's get some equations. So we will use Newton's second law, F is equal to ma. And so the mass of the trooper is, I guess, 80 kilograms. That's kind of a reasonable human weight.
Yeah.
But that
So
acceleration...
if I read this correctly, this is F equals ma. That's Newton's law.
Yep.
And then you're saying you plug in 80 kilograms for m, and then a is unknown right now.
We'll figure it out in a bit.
Okay.
So what the information that I do have is the position at one time, which he's standing straight up, and then a position at a second time when he's getting flung. He's all S-shaped body. And so I can say the position as a function of time is equal to the initial position. In this case, we'll just say where he's standing was 0.
Yep.
Plus the initial velocity times however long this time interval is. And again, he's standing still. So that initial velocity is 0 meters per second. 0 again. And plus 1/2 the acceleration times the time over which he's accelerated squared.
Yep.
Okay, so the quantity that I want out of this is the acceleration. So I solve for a, multiply that 2 across, take the time squared underneath, and that's going to be our expression there. A is equal to 2 times x of t over t squared.
Okay. So this is assuming this is 0, solve for this a, you get this expression.
That's what I said, but much more concise. Very nice. Okay, so we have an expression for A, and let's jam all the letters in, then we'll jam all the numbers in. So force is equal to mass times acceleration. Acceleration, we had that one line right above it, 2x of t over t squared. And then we have 2, and then that x of t, that final position, what we measured was about 20 centimeters, so 0.2 meters. And then we looked from the freeze frames, from the stills, we had 0.04 seconds quantity squared. So this came out to be a very nice number, 20,000 newtons. For our freedom friends, this is 4,500 pounds.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know, 4,500 pounds I know is enormous, but I don't have a good feel for that. Like, what is that? So I did a Google AI search.
Okay.
So the maximum force a human can generate with a punch is estimated to be around 5,000 newtons. Roughly equivalent to the force exerted by a half-ton weight on Earth's surface. Okay, I guess. Elite boxers and fighters can often reach this force, while an average person is 750 newtons. Kind of. I guess that's right. A normal person can punch significantly weaker than a elite boxer.
Right.
And so I guess the question is, if this is elite boxer at 5,000 newtons and K2SO is 20,000 newtons, that's a factor of 4? 4 is it?
4, yeah. So 4 times 5 is 20,000.
Or for compared to a regular person, 6? 7? Yeah, 40.
Yeah.
20,000 divided by 756?
You're saying 20,000 divided by 750 newtons? Let's round that just to 1,000. About 20 times the normal person.
Yeah.
To me, these numbers seem really, really reasonable. Because K2SO is a robot.
26.
He's metal and actuators, whereas humans are soft and fleshy.
Yeah.
So we can't generate that much force. And he just does a casual backhand. And he can generate 4 times a top-level athlete. That makes
top-level athlete
to me.
26 times like a regular person. I think that's entirely reasonable.
I think that's entirely reasonable.
And it's also reasonable with how hard the guy flew. Like if you punch a guy, he's not going to fly like that. But with the strength of 26 normal people, or 4 like elite boxers simultaneously punching, it's gonna hurt.
Boom.
Makes
sense to me. Yep.
Also, check out that 0.41 seconds. That 0.41 seconds is the time from the impact to when you hit the wall. That's actually erroneous. Might be. So why do we not use that 0.41 seconds? Because once the contact has been interrupted, the acceleration is no longer happening. This at the point where the guy's in the air, he's just coasting. We don't need to count that time. We only need to count the time that's 0.04 seconds. That's the single frame. That's when he's still in contact.
I guess we could use that 0.41 seconds to calculate the velocity from post-contact to wall contact if we wanted to, which we did not do.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. That's another way to do it.
Yeah. The critical, it's how much time, determining the acceleration is by how much time his arm is actually in contact with the trooper.
Yep. Because that's the acceleration phase.
Right.
Cool. Super cool that K2SO's forces are very reasonable, very accurate.
Very reasonable, given the dynamics we saw. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Indeed.
All right, that's it for season 2, episode 11. See you guys next time.